All right, everybody. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. I hope you had a great Thursday there since I took Thursday off. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to try to wrap up at least the first of Lumen's character sheets, and then from there, if I get it all finished up, I might start one of the other characters. So let's go ahead. Excuse me, and let's hop on over here.
So here we go. All my friends are murdered. Hey, all my bones don't bear roses. All these fiends want teenage me. All my friends are murdered. He's gone away. He's gone away. He's gone away. He's gone away. He's gone away.
All right, is that better? I hope that's better. Like, I don't know, like for some reason the audio's funky uh because of playing control. So let me move some of these references so they can fit. I can actually have his hair and whatnot in the frame without getting overlapping. Yeah, I had to. So, like I said, the audio is like set up weird for control. All right, let's see. Let's do this. Man, I am probably gonna struggle a little bit today. It is like rainy outside, so All right, let's get an expression. Thinking maybe this one. All right, so now we got a sketch that we can go from here. Might even make his like glasses like a little like they've been knocked off his face a little bit here. Something like that. So let's turn that off for a sec. Out of my way. Sorry, trying to find a song here I want to listen to. This song's pretty silly. That should work out. Flip this the other way. Bring the guide back up so I can kind of see. My love. I know it's like super difficult to wake up today. It's like super rainy outside, so I'm just like, oh man, I want to sleep forever. Yeah. Trying to make sure that his jaw is a little bit more masculine than I had drawn it before. Like a little androgynous is okay for like a visual novel character, but this character is definitely male, so maybe we'll come up with like a female version of Lumen for like maybe like an update or something. Or maybe like later down the line we'll introduce like a maybe like a female MC or an androgynous MC that we can have for whoever. Try not to make the Adam's apple too long there. Ah, he has a sister. Hell yeah. Sister and an older brother. Yeah, that'd be cool. I love this song. It's so good. I love. Oh man. Sleepy Day is not doing me any favors. Trying to show that he has a little bit of like a bridge kind of going on in his nose here. So I got it on this one too. Might need to actually bring it up a little bit more. Yeah, I'll bring it up some. Go ahead and flip this, make sure that's looking good from both. I move this down just a bit. Maybe this is how he feels after going to one of the other characters' parties because they live in LA in this one. And they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna go to another party tonight," and he's just like, "Seriously?" Like, we just went to a party, bro. sure I'm getting the eyelashes consistent here. Yeah. Make him look like he's a little tired here. Yeah. Yeah, I imagine he is gonna need a hug like as the story progresses here. You know what? I'm gonna cheat. Hell yeah. Pencil will take care of him. Actually gonna double cheat. AKA we're gonna save some time here. What? Oh, oh. Paste. Flip. What? Still the wrong layer? This is the right. We're gonna offset it just a bit though, so the expression's a little bit different from the reference. I don't want to make it too symmetrical. That's a weird song. Hey, go ahead and change that. That'll work. Alright, let's combine those layers. The good news is I'm actually getting pretty used to drawing them now, so it's always good to get a lot of like muscle memory and stuff down for characters you're probably going to be drawing to get them out. Oops. A little closer for that. front. This. And all right, have fun, my love. This one can go over that. Under that. Make sure this comes off the skull enough. Show that there's some volume, even though it's slicked over. Might even bring that up just a little bit. Bring it out more this way too. Do a little bit of an adjustment at a time here. I just want to make sure the got a bit of the curvature of the skull, and then it comes off like at least a little bit. And I could probably bring his hairline down a little bit too. He's not terribly old here, so we don't want to make sure he's got a giant forehead or anything. Oh, hey, what's up? How's it going? I appreciate it. I am very tired today, so don't mind me. I don't know what's been going on lately, but I've just been super exhausted. On top of it, of course, like being like rainy outside, like that does not help my cause like whatsoever. I mean, I'll take the rain though, because it's been so hot. But I get to see everybody's artwork tomorrow, so I'm excited for that. That makes me happy. Seeing all my amazingly talented chat here. See what you all are cooking, the professional chefs that I got here. It's like I just drank a coffee not too long ago, but I might need another one. Let's give this a flip. Make sure looking good from both directions here. Oh, I know what I need to do. Gotta get the hair underneath, and then I can just like erase away. Oh, no, you can post as many images as you want. I mean, I'm not really restricting how many images you want to post. I know like when I do art share things, like when I actually participate, I only put up four because like, I don't want to like run out of like stuff to post or whatever. Since I've been working on like these big projects and these like missions and stuff, I don't currently have anything like new to share, so I'm just kind of like crap. Like after I finish up stream today, I gotta work on finishing up a commission. So, but yeah, there's no like limit. Like you can put as many as you want. I'm happy to see your artwork either way. I mean, the main rules to follow, of course, are just like the no AI and like things like that, which I haven't had to worry about from anybody so far. I think I've only had I think I only had one person I had to like let them know like, hey, like this is for like, human made art here. But that was a long time ago, so and they were cool. They didn't give me like shit about it, so which is good because then I would have like never interacted with them again. So, but they haven't. They also haven't posted again in the art share since then. So I guess they are still probably doing AI art. But you know what? That's what they want to do. They have free will. I'm just not gonna praise it. Ooh, nice. Well, I mean, other than the AI, I mean, that sounds like it went pretty. It's pretty successful in your art shares. I don't know. I've just been so like incredibly tired lately that it's like well, I was also like still recovering from like where my AC was broken for like a while too, so that didn't help. I feel like at least for the most part people kind of understand that people really dislike AI and AI images. It's mostly like these like wealthy people that just or like crypto bros and shit that don't understand that nobody wants to see the AI bullshit. But like I said, if they were doing things that were like productive or positive with AI, you know what I mean? Like I wouldn't have so much of a problem with it. Like if you want to use it as like part of like maybe like the process in your art of like, maybe like say you're having like a real slump and you're just having trouble and you need like some references or something just to kind of get your creativity going, like that's fine. But I don't know, just labeling it as like a finished product, like hey, this is my AR art, it's like, well, you yourself actually didn't do anything. So it's like the computer generated this for you, like with a couple words. So it's like you yourself actually didn't do shit. I'm gonna have to bring this out more. Let me go ahead and get rid of this. I don't need that. Like there are like some like applications where I think AI is a good thing, but like as far as artwork goes, it's like no. Don't even come at me with that bullshit. Wow. It's like thanks, sis. Jesus Christ. Like I get that comics are very time consuming. They take like a really long time to make, but that's so shitty. I'm so sorry. I don't know. I don't think. I hope she didn't like mean that like hey your artwork kind of sucks because then I'd be pissed. I'd be so mad. Turn off that. Bring the hairline in some more here. Because Lumen is supposed to be a bit younger. Like, he's definitely younger than me, so let's make sure that he doesn't have like a crazy hairline here. Or at least I think he's supposed to be younger if I remember right. I don't know. Havoc came up with all these characters, so I gotta confer with her. Probably, probably it is like I don't know. I'm just guessing because I don't really remember what Havoc told me, but probably in like his late 20s, early 30s. I mean, he's got kind of a baby face anyway because he's supposed to like be kind of like so like the story takes place in like LA and he comes across this like cafe, but the cafe is actually is like run by people that do like magic and occult stuff. So that ends up being like, he gets like exposed to like this whole like different world essentially, which I think is pretty cool. Move this one eye a little bit closer. I don't want to move both of them because then they'll be too close together. Technically, it should be one eye width apart, but I don't know. It was just kind of looking like it was like a little too far apart. Oh yeah, yeah. No, 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 no. All the characters are old enough to drink, so they're all over 21. Yep, they're all of age. No worries. We don't have to worry about any like lowly stuff or anything like that because I'm not down for the lowly thing. I my personal opinion is that is a fast track to being a pedophile. Like it's like no, but she's like 10,000 years old and a dragon. It's like no, but she looks like a child. Like making a character that looks like a child and then doing anything like remotely like hinting at like anything sexual is like super wrong. Like it's one thing to say like, oh, they're cute because they're like, proportions are like childlike, but it's another thing to like, I don't know, put them in like bikinis and shit. It's like you know what you're doing. Now there's some characters that I like that are like lowly characters, but they're not like, like I said, they're not like sexualized at all. Well, I get that there are like there are going to be people and characters that are of age that look a lot younger than they actually are. Like, I know people in real life that like, you look at them and you're like, "Oh my God, you look like you're like 16 and they're like 24." I don't know. It's just you can tell when like the artists or the fans of the character are like liking them because they look like way too young. And it's like, dude, like, that's not okay. Like, especially with like the state of the world now, like just there's just more and more of these like pedophile creeps like coming out of the woodworks. Like they were always there, but like nobody like really like looked into it or paid attention to it. And it's just like incredibly alarming how prevalent it actually is. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like me, I am definitely not young, and like even looking at like somebody that's like in their 20s, maybe like even sometimes early 30s, I'm like, look at this child. Like I'm not gonna look at him and be like, oh yeah, I totally get with that. I'm like this my main thing too with like the age difference is like this person is gonna have like zero in common with me because they've pretty much like not gone through like the same kind of experiences. They haven't, you know, I don't know. Like I can get along with people younger than me if we have enough like common experiences and stuff. Like I'm sure there's plenty of people in chat that are younger than me, and I love you guys, but as far as like, like romantic interest or like anything like that, I'm probably gonna look for somebody that's like closer to my age. Like if like Havoc and I wanted a boyfriend or girlfriend, we're gonna look for somebody that's like close to our age. Ads, no. I don't know if I want to color these. I don't think I necessarily need to. Like I don't have anything like special or different, I think, on the back, so I think it'll be fine. These to leave these like that. I mean, it's an Atomi character too. I'll probably never actually draw him from the back, but it's good practice, even though I don't know, I feel like these two don't look as good as like the front one, but it's fine. Not everything needs to be perfect. I mean, especially with like character sheets, like, you know, it's just so like you can remind yourself essentially like how to draw your own character. And if you're like of course like developing them like I am now where I'm like, just to keep track of like, details, things from different angles, different expressions, all that good stuff. Because it's like no matter how many times you draw your own character, you're gonna like forget stuff sometimes. Or you're gonna be like, oh shit, that like scar was supposed to be like on the other side of their head, or this tattoo was supposed to be over here, or it's usually some sort of like small detail that you don't normally think about too much, and then you're like, oh crap, I should have referred to my to my sheet. Yeah, I was watching Misa Gigi watching four disturbing documentaries, and it starts with an old man that did stuff with kids. Yeah, well, it also just really sucks too, because like I don't have like cable television or anything like that, so I watch like pretty much like nothing but like YouTube, and we had Amazon Prime for a little bit, but like all of the YouTubers that I've been watching lately had just been covering like these like creeps and like pedophiles and stuff, and it's just like I don't know, it's just so crazy to me that it's just so common. And I keep seeing stuff in the news too about like teachers messing around with their students and stuff, and it's just like what the fuck? Like I know like, of course like as a teenager, I'm not gonna say that there were any teachers that I was like, yo, that teacher can get it. But it's like it's wrong for them to participate in that. As much as like you as a horny teenager wants it, it's like it's not okay for them to engage in that. Like looking back at it, so in hindsight, so hey, I had some teachers that were hot, and I was just like, oh my god. Like I had a like my first sex ed teacher that I had, I was like, this lady is not wearing like anything appropriate for this like class to teach teenagers. I mean, I was all there for it, but it was just like she knows what she's doing. Like if you show up to a sex ed class not wearing a bra like at all, with a shirt that you can pretty much see through, you know what you're doing. And then like my Spanish teacher, uh we used to like glare at her husband like every time her husband would come in to see her. We're like, fuck you, man. She's ours, dude. Which is not the truth at all. We were just like I said, we were just like ridiculously horny teenagers, so not knowing what the hell to do with our feelings and emotions. And this is gonna seem real weird on like the VOD if like somebody's like skipping through it. It's just gonna hear little blips of this and be like, what the fuck is going on here? They'll be like, what is Aniki going on about now? I don't know, man. I'm just talking out my ass. Yeah, some sexy teacher talk. Yeah. I'm gonna turn up the brightness a little bit more. There we go. That gives it a little more texture. I've been digging using these like watercolor textures like over top of my artwork. It just looks more interesting. Like digital art without texture looks like really flat. Oh man, I should now looking at him, I should have made his eyebrows thicker. I could fix that. Wait, and yes, his eyebrows need to be thicker. Just a bit. I'm just gonna go ahead and fill them in with my brush. I was looking at the top expression I did, and I was like, something looks different here. It's like, oh yeah, his eyebrows. They need to be a little more manly. I have like insanely thick eyebrows IRL too, so I'm not biased or anything. Not as bad as that guy that was like freaking out on the Ring doorbell. I don't know if you guys have seen that video where he was having like a manic episode or something and thought that this guy was like holding somebody captive in his home and he was like screaming to like open his door and let him in and like kick in and stuff. That guy had like some insane eyebrows. That's a bit better. They could even be a little bit thicker, but you know what? We're gonna leave it alone. It's like that video is scary, but it's also like funny at the same time. I've 100% met people exactly like that dude, so it's always sad when somebody's having like a mental health emergency like that. Hopefully he gets the help like he needs. Alright, let me get colors. Make sure I label these layers. Give him a little bit of life in his face here, even though we're not doing like a full on color. I like to at least put like, you know, some of the areas where the blood kind of like shows through. Trying to make sure he doesn't look like he's drunk though. Though he could be actually in this one. This could very much be a drunk face. And we'll do the eye whites, which aren't actually white. You always want these to be like a little bit gray and a little bit of like the skin tone itself. If you make them like 100% white, like they're gonna look kind of freaky and like artificial. Unless you got like a demon or a character that has like the blacked out ones. And you can use the same color for the teeth. His teeth aren't 100% white all the time either. I know I probably said these things like a million times, but maybe someone hasn't seen my earlier videos, so I'm gonna put this one underneath for the tongue. That felt like pretty good. I need to make a color palette. That's what I need to do. Try to remember to do that before I end stream. Oops. Go down here. And lock the alpha layer. I think I remember the colors for this one. For the eyes. There we go. And let's do shirt. No, don't do it over the whole thing. That's okay. I'll fix it in a sec. Oh no, not the sleep farts. I'm always so paranoid about that. Like, especially if I eat something that I know is like gonna like mess up my guts when I go to bed. I'm like, poor Havoc. I was like, I hope I'm not just blowing her up all night. But she like literally sleeps through like everything, so I still feel bad. I'm just like, man, I'm like, that's probably pretty gross. It woke him up. Did he look at his own butt? Because that's always the funniest things when like dogs will like fart and then they'll look at their own ass like, what just happened? Who did that? It's so funny. I'm like, motherfucker, you did that. That was you. You're gross. He looked at you like you did it. Wow. He's like, oh, Pansy, how dare you? Why would you wake me up like that? Just totally like gaslighting. Oops, I forgot. Put a little bit of a line here. Gotta have the fresh undercut line where it's been shaved underneath. So is important. No. No, let me go ahead and use this. Make it easier. Oh, I think there's supposed to be a gap in there. Yeah, that looks right. I'm gonna bring that out a little bit more on the hair here. I think that'll be fine. I don't want it to be Have too many gaps there. I haven't saved in a while. I should probably do that. Yeah, so you just pet him. I mean, Vegeta will do that. He'll come over and he'll like brush up against me, or he'll come sit on me and he'll get like real relaxed, and then he'll just like fart on me, and I'm like, you son of a bitch. It's like, I love you, man, but come on. How could you do that to father? What did I do to deserve such a biological assault? There's Nympha. I was just about to say Nympha wasn't here to like scream save at me, so hell yeah. You having a good day? All right, so he just needs his glasses and he needs this little clip he's got here on his collar. So, do the glasses. Oh yeah. Hey, I do not blame you. It has been hella hot lately, so it is actually raining here today, so that's pretty dope. That will certainly help. Duplicate. Rasterize. I'm gonna make his like glasses like they're kind of falling off his face here for this expression since he's disheveled. Let's, let's and let's put this below that layer. Then Also, I got the paperwork to prove I used to take meds for my ADHD, so I can hopefully start back on Monday's deployment. Hell yeah. You're definitely I'm actually about to run out of mine tomorrow, so I'm not looking forward to that. Mm, that's probably good for his like. Wait, it's going behind. No, I'm gonna do this. How did I do that on the other one? Yeah, it is. Hey, yeah, it's coming up behind the ear. Okay. So like, let me think. So there's, and I not all these names are final, but we have Lumen. We have the girl. Her tentative name is Amy. There is Alistair. Um, there's Lumen's brother, Lumen's sister. Um, and then there's some other characters that I don't want to spoil. So maybe like eight or so total, I would say. Just as like a rough estimate. Trying to make him look real disheveled here, so oh poor Pensy. It makes me sad. I don't like you being in pain and you're too nice to be in pain all the time, you know? Like I said, when I get famous, we're gonna buy you like we're gonna throw money at your back until it feels like 100% again. That's what we'll do. We'll make you an actual like we'll make you like a cyborg. So you'll be kind of like your android counterpart. You'll be enhanced like in Cyberpunk. I don't need to, but I want to. I don't need to do anything, but I'm an adult. And I can do what I want. Hell yeah, my studio's gonna have the best healthcare. You know why? Because it's gonna be in a country that already has free healthcare. It's gonna be nice healthcare too. This studio will 100% not be in America. But when you get hired, we will make sure that we can get you out here. So we won't leave you hanging in the U.S. as it falls to ruin. Well, it's like, like if your like employees are like in nonstop pain, like how the hell are they supposed to work? Like, I don't know. I want people to enjoy like working like at the studio. I want them to be able to like de-stress, like say if we have like a big project, make sure you get lots of like breaks and just things to like really like keep your mental health like in check, keep your, morale and happiness up. Our plan is to have like a cafe like on the lower floor, and that you guys will get like, be able to get food and stuff from there. And then we'll have like a little like a gaming area set up, and like a little gym. I don't know, try to make it worthwhile. I mean, like, on top of paying like a really good wage. Oh, I wouldn't do that. That sounds like that sounds like way too dangerous. They're like, you're a cyborg now, but guess what? You're also a cyborg assassin. Have some sort of like really stupid like trigger word that activates you, like papaya or something. The trigger phrase is number two pencil. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll totally have this. We'll have like a little nap like booth too that's like soundproof. But of course, we'll also have like, the healthcare options, like if you want to get like some help or like some medication for anxiety to help with that, we would also have that as well. Yeah, of course you can. It's gonna be the best place to work ever. Oh, yeah. No, I get it. I mean, hell, like, I'm definitely bringing, Vegeta to wherever we move to. I could never leave him behind. I'll have to see how he gets along with dogs. He seems to be pretty excited when he hears dogs. Like, he doesn't seem like he's, like, scared of them, so I don't know. But I don't know. Vegeta might be a brat too, so we'll find out. I'm sure it won't take long to find out. Actually, this is the color right here I need for these. Perfect. Let's see. I think let's start with this color. And let's make it 30%. Maybe even a little less than that. Let's do 25. There we go. That's better. And then it's changed this color here. There we go. All right, let's see. Let's put this in a folder. Lines. Green. These as lenses. That. This will be the base. Oops, wrong color. And put that all in a folder. Glasses. And let's put this in here so it also gets the texturing. Hell yeah, got that. And then let me put some more of put some of the shinies on here because that helps a little bit. And There we go. We got another expression done. We got a little disheveled, a little worried here. So, what I am going to do. Oh, you're just like getting frustrated with how it looks. I mean, you just like recently switched to digital, so it's like, you're still getting used to the new the way things work digitally, so oh, I forgot to put the clip on him. Aha, I knew there was something else I needed to do here. So let me go ahead and let's do that real quick. Like I knew there was something I was missing. I mean, I'm not drawing like his best because I don't really need to in on these, but there's something. Let's see. So it's a little bit thicker on the outside. And it actually needs to come more like this. Make it less thick here in a sec. Clips onto the color, kind of like that. Only 5 months into doing digital. Did take a big break because the evil COVID, so I would say 4 months. Yeah, it's, COVID especially is like a pain in the dick. I might actually make this a little smaller here. Let's actually do like a free transform. Give it more of like a better perspective to it. There we go, that's a little bit better. Doesn't have to be perfect. This is nothing final. We're just making references here, so. And that, so that, and that. That little spot there. No. Come on, zoom in. Boop. There we go. Invert. All right, so let's grab the color because it's the same color as the glasses. What layer do I have this on now? Glasses, and okay, here it is. Fill that. Yeah, that's a lot of COVID. Poor Pensy. That's in a folder. Lines. Green and base. Now let's put a little bit of shine on this, just to show that it's metallic. Doesn't have to be anything super crazy, just a little bit of highlight here and there. $50. Duplicate. I don't know. I've been really lucky. I've only gotten it once, and I have decided never again. If I could avoid it like 100%, I'm going to. Because that shit is awful. Yeah, it's terrible. Wait, did I just do that all in the wrong way? No, this is the brightness on that. There. We go. Gonna wrap this up here in just a sec. I'm just gonna duplicate these. I'm gonna do some of my little effects I like to do at the end. Merge that. Hell yeah. Some holy diver. I mean, I think you're doing really well. I am a Pensy fan. See, start switching over piece clean. See. Turn that down to like 30%. No ads. So true. That's stay. Actually, turn that down to 20%. Don't want it too. Don't want to make it too blurry. All right, I think this is a pretty good spot here. Make it nice and big so you guys can see what we did today. Oh, I'm gonna stretch real quick before I throw you guys in the lobby. Blah 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 blah. Oh, great. First time I got it was one of my bosses took us out to celebrate a coworker getting engaged. He complained during the meal about how annoying all the COVID warnings are on TV. Spoiler alert, he gave me COVID during the meal. Yeah, it's always those assholes. It's always the ones that are like, oh, it's not real, blah, blah, blah. And then, next thing you know, everybody's got fucking COVID. So it's like, thanks, guy. You're a real G for doing this for me. I really appreciated it. That's exactly what I wanted to get. All right, well, I think this looks pretty good. This is a good place to stop. I'll just do maybe like two more expressions on this character sheet and then maybe snazz up the background a little bit, add like a palette, and then this will be done. And I'll have a reference for at least one of his outfits. I'm going to have to come up with couple more outfits here for him. But yeah, I think it looks really good. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna throw you guys in the lobby so we can do a wrap up here. I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today while I worked on more of the Otome characters here. Lumen's coming along pretty nicely. I'm getting used to drawing him. Drawing his head at different angles is definitely going to help me out for sure. If you like the kind of content I do, please follow me to see when I go live. Consider subscribing, especially if you have that Amazon Prime button. Nice and easy. One click and you're subscribed. Helps me out tremendously. I have a Patreon under the same name, also a VGen under the same name. I will be back tomorrow with the Saturday Art Share. I hope you guys have a